They tell us it was a lone gunman. They tell us the case is closed. But when you open the files that were kept secret for decades, you find physics that don't exist, witnesses who vanished, and evidence that was destroyed by the government itself. Here are 8 facts about the JFK assassination that simply cannot be explained. The magic bullet physics. The entire government narrative hangs by a single thread, the single bullet theory. Without it, there had to be a second shooter. Here's what they want you to believe. One bullet entered Kennedy's back, exited his throat, hung in the air for 1.6 seconds, turned right, hit Governor Connally in the back, shattered his 5th rib, exited his chest, smashed through his thick wrist bone, and finally dug itself into his left thigh. 7 distinct wounds, 2 men, 1 bullet. Even Governor Connally went to his grave insisting, "I was not hit by the same bullet as the president." But the trajectory isn't the only problem. The bullet itself is a forensic impossibility. The Pristine Bullet Anomaly. Meet Commission Exhibit 399. This is the bullet that supposedly smashed through 2 human torsos and pulverized solid bone. It was found later mysteriously lying on a stretcher at Parkland Hospital. Look at it. It is nearly perfect. The nose is round. The copper jacket is intact. It lost only 1.5% of its original mass, essentially just lead shavings from the base. This isn't just unlikely, it is ballistically impossible. The U.S. Army conducted tests to prove this. They fired the exact same type of Carcano bullets into animal bones at the same velocity. The result? Every single test bullet was crushed, flattened, and mushroomed like a stamped coin. A bullet cannot destroy bone and come out looking like it just left the factory. Unless, of course, it was never fired at the president at all. If the bullet was fake, then the entire official timeline is a lie. But while ballistics is just cold science, what we see in the crowd footage next is truly a nightmare. It wasn't just a shooter waiting for Kennedy, it was a signalman standing in plain sight. The Umbrella Man. Let's go to Dealey Plaza, 12:30 p.m. It was a warm, bright Texas afternoon. The sky was cloudless. No one in the crowd of hundreds was wearing a raincoat, except for one man. Standing right at the kill zone, mere feet from where the fatal shot struck, stood a man in a black suit holding a large, open black umbrella. As the motorcade approached, he didn't cheer. He pumped the umbrella strictly up and down. Why? In 1978, a CIA weapons developer named Charles Sensney testified to the Senate. He revealed the existence of a specific weapon, an umbrella modified to fire a poison Flechette dart, a dart that could paralyze a target instantly. Was JFK paralyzed before the headshot? Years later, a man named Louis Stephen Witt came forward, claiming he was the Umbrella Man and that he was just heckling the president. But his testimony was riddled with memory gaps. He had no explanation for why he sat down calmly on the curb while the rest of the world screamed and ran for cover. The Babushka Lady and the federal agents. While the Umbrella Man stood out, another figure blended in. On the south side of Elm Street, a woman in a tan coat and headscarf stood closer to the limo than almost anyone else. She earned the nickname the Babushka Lady. In the panic following the shots, while people threw themselves on the grass, she stood firm. She held a camera to her face. She filmed the entire execution. Her angle was crucial. She was facing the grassy knoll. Her film would have captured the muzzle flash of the second shooter. The FBI put out a nationwide bulletin requesting her footage. She never surrendered it. Years later, a woman named Beverly Oliver claimed it was her. She told a chilling story. 2 men identifying themselves as FBI agents came to her work. They didn't show badges. They confiscated her film for evidence and promised to return it in 10 days. She never saw the men or her film ever again. The 3 Tramps, the Watergate connection. Minutes after the assassination, police stormed the rail yards behind the grassy knoll. They found 3 men hiding in a boxcar. The police labeled them Tramps and marched them through Dealey Plaza. But look closely at the press photos. These are not homeless men. They are clean-shaven. They have fresh, professional haircuts. Their clothes are fitted. And most importantly, look at their shoes. They are wearing expensive, barely worn leather dress shoes. Homeless men do not wear brand-new wingtips. They were taken to the station, but no arrest records were filed. No fingerprints were taken. they were released into the wind. Decades later, facial recognition experts dropped a bombshell. Two of the Tramps bore a striking structural resemblance to E. Howard Hunt and Frank Sturgis, two CIA operatives who would later be arrested for the Watergate burglary. Were top-level CIA assets hiding in a train car overlooking the murder scene? The Badge Man and Gordon Arnold. If there was a shooter on the grassy knoll, who was he? Take the famous Polaroid photo by Mary Moorman, snapped at the exact fraction of a second the fatal shot hit. If you enhance the shadows behind the picket fence, a terrifying figure emerges. You can see the hairline, the ear, the firing stance, and on the chest, a bright gleam of light, exactly consistent with a police badge. This matches the testimony of Gordon Arnold, 22-year-old soldier who was on the knoll that day. Arnold claimed that immediately after the shots, he was confronted by a man in a police uniform. The man was crying, shaking, and holding a rifle. He kicked Arnold, took his camera film, and yelled at him to leave. Arnold was so terrified he didn't speak about it for years. Was the second shooter hiding in plain sight, wearing the uniform of the protectors? The destruction of the crime scene. In any homicide, rule number 1 is preserve the evidence. The presidential limousine was a rolling crime scene. It was covered in blood spatter, tissue, and bullet fragments that could have mathematically proven the angle of crossfire. Yet, outside Parkland Hospital, while JFK was being pronounced dead, Secret Service agents were seen with a bucket of water. They were washing the car. Before a single forensic photographer could document the blood patterns, agents scrubbed the back seat clean. They destroyed the biological map of the assassination. Within days, the car was sent to a shop to be stripped, repainted, and rebuilt. The windshield, which had a bullet hole that many witnesses claimed came from the front, was removed and destroyed. Why destroy the evidence unless it tells a story you don't want the world to hear? The stolen brain. But the final fact is the most gruesome. To close the case, the government had to prove the bullet entered the back of the head. But the autopsy photos were contradictory and the x-rays were disputed. The only undeniable proof lay in the president's brain. The brain was removed during the autopsy. It was placed in a stainless steel container filled with formaldehyde and locked in a secure vault at the National Archives. In 1966, a forensic pathologist requested to examine it to settle the conspiracy debate once and for all. He opened the vault. The container was gone. The president's brain had been stolen. Official records state the brain weighed 1,500 grams. This is the weight of a complete, healthy human brain. But considering a massive portion of Kennedy's brain was blown out in Dallas, a weight of 1,500 grams is physically impossible. Unless the brain in the jar wasn't his. Did they steal it to hide the fact that it was a fake? Or did they steal it because the track of the bullet proved a shot from the front? To this day, the brain of John F. Kennedy remains missing.